Hi, and welcome to The Sound of Self, the podcast that's all about empowering women in their 30s to make mindful shifts, find their purpose, and step into their power.
This podcast is not just about discussions, it's a movement. We're here to break through the barriers that hold women back from freely expressing themselves. The world needs your unique voice, and we're here to help you find it.
So thank you for joining Jess and Erin on The Sound of Self. Let's unlock the power within and create a life that resonates with the true essence of you.
Okay, so here we are on another really amazing interview with the most phenomenal powerhouse woman. I'm so excited to be interviewing this woman today and so grateful for her to be giving me her time. We have the Queen, Tamara Meyer. So Tamara is a motivational speaker and category queen of stage presence and authority, the founder of Tamara Meyer Coaching and the creator of Sell Without Selling framework. So Tamara used to be a professional dancer, actor, professional athlete turned business coach. She blends performance psychology with communication strategy, which is what I love, coming from a performance background as well. And she really helps her clients embody their speaker identity with a trusted authority in the industries. So she has also created an amazing podcast, Say It With Your Chest, podcast dedicated to real, unfiltered conversations about leadership, self-expression, and the power of using your voice, which is our jam, isn't it, Tamara?
What an intro, honey bunny. Yes, yes, yes. All those things. And thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, I love your warmth and your authenticity with everything you do. So I just really wanted to dive into what authentic speaking means for you and where that comes from when you're changing your audience. So I know sometimes it's hard when you go from Instagram to stage. So what does that mean for you?
Such a good question. And it always comes back to, how can you be yourself, whether it's online and speaking on stage? And I think a lot of people, when they think about being seen or feeling like they're exposed on stage, it comes back to just knowing, who you are, and also knowing that everyone here is human. We all have
Mm,
similar similar feelings and emotions when it comes to, what it feels like to, be exposed on a social media platform. You're sharing parts of your journey, your life, and you're
yeah.
opening up yourself to so many people online. And then on stage, it's about really exposing all of you, but also from a place of being able to shift belief and giving the opportunity that anyone that comes into the room, you're there to create change and you're there to inspire. And inspiration always comes not only from the results and the greatness of what you've done, but it also comes from a place of the things you've worked through, the things you've
Mm,
created, the processes, the hardships, the mistakes. And it's also coming back to self-accepting the leader version of you and the stuff that you feel like you don't want people to see the behind the scenes, but all of that gets to be part of you because it's all of you. And that's essentially what I want people to tap into more when it comes to owning your voice.
And when you step into the leader part of yourself, what's the journey been like for you? How have you done that?
Oh, how have I done that? I think the biggest thing is not needing to always have to be polished, but
Mm,
also a leader is someone who owns mistakes, someone who's honest, is able to communicate, is also able to ask for help, is able to, remove the armor when things are needing to be expressed. A leader is someone that needs a team and, can't always be doing things on your own. So I think when it comes to stepping into leadership, it's having someone that is like a hero that, is a team player and is there to support and help people support the world, but also thrives on needing someone that's on their side. And that tends to be whether it's people from stage, it's the audience that are on their side. It's if you're online, it's your community, it's your fan base, it's, your audience connection. And I think leadership isn't always knowing that you have to get it right, but it's also knowing, that there's elements to being able to express all parts of you, but also being
mm,
able to create an element of, hey, this is what we're doing. This gets to be as something that we get to do together. I'm never going to always be the person that's always the best communicator or the best person when it comes to do all the things, but it's someone that is just able to express and communicate and also create a change in people's lives at the same time.
mm. And I really love how you said you can have the audience on your side, because I personally experienced that when I did my first big speech, which you were at, of course. And I really felt supported. I felt so safe on stage, where that could have been a totally different experience if it had been a different room. So, how do you find the right audience when you're stepping up onto the stage?
I think everything when we think of stage, I kind of always believe the stage is the arena,
Mm,
and so you're in the arena of whatever comes to mind. And that could be the arena of dealing with negativity, dealing with, different people's emotions, dealing with everyone's perceptions and beliefs and attributes and their own way of seeing the world. So I think being able to know that there is no right or wrong, it just gets to be, but you get to hold yourself and how you are internally, how you ground yourself gets to be a really beautiful connection. And also an element that how you are on stage is also kind of like the external and internal representation of what's going on behind the scenes.
I love that.
And I always think, like how, if you can see the metaphor of a stage being almost like this universal experience where you get to guide people along the way. It's really about what am I feeling intuitively? What is my heart saying? And that's how we can start to create connection and guiding the room on this beautiful journey at the same time too.
And I recently attended your event, which was amazing, Stand Up and Speak. And you really felt that when you're on the stage, feeling you speak from the heart and really connecting with your audience in a way that made everyone feel very comfortable throughout the day. So thank you for letting me come to that. That was such an amazing experience.
I'm so glad you loved it, honey. Did you have the best time?
I did. I had a lot of realizations that when I went home, I processed it and it was good. I think it was one of those aha moments of going, okay, I got to work on that stuff. And that's my next question to you. Like, what's something that you've had to overcome? Because you said, negativity. How do you deal with negativity?
I think if there was more things to overcome for me, it's there's so many parts to this. I could go in so
Yeah.
many.
Oh, we can go down the rabbit hole. It's fine.
Uh, I think it's also when you want to step into this big identity of being of service and impact, you can't be Switzerland. And it's really being able to have your opinions, not to be worried about, not everyone's going to agree with it.
Yeah.
And not being afraid to say what you feel, and it coming from a place of love and support, that there's going to be people that are going to feel triggered and not agree with what you say. So a lot of the stuff lately, it's been dealing with hate comments. It's been knowing that if I'm going to step into this identity of playing big, there's not going to be always a great repercussion of that. And so I think it's also coming back to like me as a little girl, like I've always just wanted to be loved and make everyone happy and, help everyone and everyone be liked and like me. And so it's also natural that when it comes to dealing with those things, it's not a reflection of myself, but also sometimes it's more about what they're feeling too. So it's kind of like
Mm.
doing almost like an agreement with it's not always going to be that people are going to agree with what you're saying, but hurt people. And it's almost like having this element of I'm going to still express how I'm feeling, not in a way of reacting, but responding from a place of leadership rather from like well, you hurt me, so you're going to do this. So that's been big. And I think more so now I think as well, it's just knowing that I don't need to prove to anyone anymore. That was a realization of late and recently, because there's always been an element of like, I need to prove people wrong, but really it was only just dimming myself and my light. And when I let go of all of that and just gone, this is more about them to support the people out there that want to find themselves and find their voice and how they get to express and how that looks for their businesses or their speaking identity. When you know what you're here for and you know your mission, regardless of what's going on around people's thoughts and processes and how they respond, it doesn't need to come from a place of prove them wrong. It comes from a place of I'm here to help.
Exactly. I love the responding instead of reacting comment. That really resonates with me. And it's such a big thing because when you're standing up on stage, I mean, the saying, there's more people in the world, almost as many people that are more afraid of public speaking than dying. But it's the judgment, isn't it? It's actually learning that that's okay, that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you have that worthiness inside yourself, you know that it's going to be okay to stand up and speak and say whatever you need to say, as long as you're coming from a place of divine service. Is that what you're saying?
100%. But also, like, it's
Yeah.
okay to feel nervous. It's okay to express you're nervous. Some of the times when I first spoke on stage, I always began with the truth, as opposed to I'm going to start with an authority piece and get everyone to raise their hand. And sometimes it's really nice to start with a human element rather than I'm going to pretend I feel confident to build the authority, when really
Mm.
sometimes when you lead from the heart, it's like, hey, I'm actually going through stuff. Still nervous about speaking. This is my first time. And people then connect better because they go, fuck, well, I'm going to celebrate her and be here for her because she's being human and open and completely transparent with what she's going through. So,
It definitely creates more of a openness in people's hearts when you show that vulnerability. I
absolutely, mate.
love that. It's so
Absolutely.
beautiful. So, we were talking about the other aspect of what you do, which is in the sell without selling framework. Could you explain a little more about that?
Yeah, so when I started stepping into the business space, prior to that, I was in the fitness space. So every day you'd show up online, you share your positivity, your motivations, your work,
Mm,
you share your day-to-day life, talk about your clients. And so transitioning into business and now building an online presence, we're not here to stop selling at the end of the day. If you think about a coffee shop that opens every day, they're selling every day. They're selling a service of, grabbing your coffee. And so if we start to see our business as a shop front every single day, imagine being able to sell every day without it feeling like manipulation, ickiness, force,
mm,
almost like taking people through a journey on how you can sell in a way that doesn't actually, as you said, feel like selling. It gets to be more, you're here to have conversations, you're here to connect, you're here to build relationship, you're here to give value, you're here to get to know what's your coffee order. You remember people's conversations. So then you create rapport with the people, you remember people's names. Like the very element when you're speaking on stage, you're there in the room and you set the standard of what the day is about. You also ask for permission on, what you're wanting to invite people in.
mm,
It's a tweak in language. It's seeding in, things that you've gone through, what you've done in those processes. It's being able to, call people forward on elements of what you've navigated through investments in business, when you've had time objections, when you had to make a decision when it didn't make sense. All elements, and coming back to selling without selling, has to come a place of when you've gone through it and always embodying it when you want to obviously be there to support people when it comes to making that decision to continue on a journey with you. And I think a lot of people have this perception that selling it feels forced or it has to be hard selling. Every day we get to sell, but it shouldn't feel like it because you're doing it from a place of love and service and here to help people. And if you're here
mm.
to help people, that means there's going to be a time and element where you need to be direct. Sometimes you need to, call it forward. Sometimes you have to create urgency. Sometimes you have to say it for what it is based on what's happening in the world. So I think it's really about understanding the language, the perception of what you have with it, and seeing it from a place of if you're not letting people know what's coming up and what you see, then you're a disservice to the person who could potentially waste or prolong the results to really creating something that's great within that person as well. So a lot of the times, our clients, when they work with us, they think they have to sell directly. Sometimes it's based on sharing your story when you made a decision that was something that you didn't know you were going to make. Sometimes it's the founder led who's
Mm.
sharing their journey around their content integration. Sometimes it's sharing a client's success, but it's really about the relationship you have with it and knowing that every day gets to be an opportunity for you to help more people.
I love that. That's such a beautiful way of putting it. And for those who are listening to the podcast who are interested in learning more about selling and speaking, Tamara has an amazing program. So please follow her, put all of her details down below. So, my last question for you today is what was one of your most memorable moments speaking on stage and why?
Oh, the first thing that came to mind was one, probably the second time I spoke on stage, I got this, I guess, this intuition of I need to talk about my father. Uh,
Mm,
I was scared to do it. A lot of my messaging back then was obviously, taking the permission slip for people, sorry, bringing the permission slip on leading with things that you've gone through. And I've never really spoken about my father. I've never really spoken about what happened. And it's still something I don't speak publicly because it's going to happen in a book, but definitely in a speaking environment.
Mm.
And I wanted to do it because I really wanted to lead with the fact that sometimes our stories may impact people in different ways. And that was a big healing journey for myself, something that my mentor used to always say, when you speak, you actually get to heal more of your story.
Oh, I
So
love that.
yeah, so it was really big for me because it was probably the second time I spoke, never opened up about what was happening behind the scenes. And a lot of the stuff we talk about with my father was obviously a lot of addictions and other things.
Mm.
But it came from a place of I want people to start to see the power of vulnerability. And Brene Brown talks about it all the time. So that was probably one of my most favorite memory. And probably the one recently, if I'm completely honest.
Was that the
Yeah,
one I was at?
one that you were at actually,
Yes.
and this complete transparency,
Yeah.
I remember when I did the one recently, it was the first one of the show up and speak, and I stepped into this speaker identity. I only just started teaching speaking,
Mm.
and I remember having to feel like I wanted to have all this authority in there. I needed people to know I was speaking and doing a TED talk. And the event went really well. There was just still something that wasn't quite there. When I looked at everything that I wanted to put together and bring forward, it came back to me understanding that there was a big part of my story I never really shared of the why. And that was my mom. And that was a big value of mine. And a lot of the things and why I do what I do now is creating the future life for my family that I never had, but also the family of the people that come into my community. To give everyone context, I've got literally just my mum and my brother. That's our family. That's it. So anyone that comes into my world, they become my family because I really want people to feel like they belong. So this event recently, also with everything that was going on behind the scenes, showed me not only that the power of your why can really create such a change in people's commitment and vision, but also I can still run events with so much shit going on behind the scenes, pressure, hardships, personal things, still focusing on the business, going out with friends. And it just came from a really beautiful space that made me really reignite that the confidence I had in myself, but the feedback from you guys. So yeah, two different memories, one of vulnerability, of storytelling, but mostly coming back to the why and my mum being in the room as well.
Yeah, it was so beautiful to be there with your mum as well, just to meet her and experience
Did
that
you speak
all.
to her? She's
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
She's
she was. But
awesome.
you could feel the love in the room. It was just such a beautiful, heart-opening experience, and I just loved being part of it. And it's interesting that you say when you speak, you heal as you speak. I feel it's a very similar experience with songwriting. So when I write a song and I release a song, that song then evolves every time it's played, and it almost becomes its own entity of evolution. Yeah, it evolves, and it's just so interesting to see how I change every time I perform that song. Some songs I've been performing for like 10 years and it's still got the same meaning, but it's different.
Yeah.
So that resonates with me the way you shared that.
I think healing can be so many. I feel like everyone's got their own way of healing. There's no one way, right? And
Absolutely.
whether it's journaling, whether it's meditating, whether it's processing, singing, you're releasing, these frequency from your voice, from sound, from your body. So it makes sense. The speaking thing and sharing things when it's coming from a place of I've navigated through this. I'm here to process it, not I'm going to project. It's
Mm.
much more powerful.
And that's really the way of the embodied, authentic speaker, isn't it?
It's
Yes.
funny, and it's not to be perfect, it's not to be the best. I think it's just owning who you are, embodied speaker and self-expression, gets to be really about being true to who you are, and what you teach is what you practice as well.
Mm. Thank you so much, Tamara. It's been such a wonderful conversation, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, fine, short and sweet, babes. I love this.
So, if anyone would like to follow Tamara, all the socials are down below. She has an amazing 3-day event coming up soon. she'll tell you
Yes.
all about that.
Yes, yes, it's actually like in 2 weeks.
In
So
two
if
weeks.
it does drop in 2 weeks, awesome. If not, we've got more coming up next year.
Yeah.
We're all about if you want to become a speaker, there goes my Zoom. If you want to become a speaker, why not start now? Having the day we get to spend on building the clarity in your message, building the offer, building your live event, or being able to build your own keynote to then having the content to be built and filming your keynote so that you can start putting your speaker identity out there.
Absolutely. And I look forward to the day that I get to speak with you on stage tomorrow.
Yes, honey, you should
Woo!
come.
All right.
Self-compassion.
Thank you for tuning in to The Sound of Self. We hope today's episode inspired you with new insights and reflections.
If you enjoyed our conversation or found it helpful, consider sharing it with a friend or leaving us a review. Help us reach more people like you on their self-discovery journey.